Good afternoon, Knicks Nation. Today is Monday. It is the 26th day of September 2022. And I hope that you had a good weekend. Happy Monday. And I hope that you and your family, in terms of health and safety, that everyone's all right. And that in terms of food, shelter, and clothing, the basic necessities of living, that those needs are being met for you and your family. Blessings upon those that work in the healthcare field, and the first responders who every day are trying to save lives and comfort people, and sometimes at the risk of their own lives. And also those that pick up garbage for us to keep streets and sidewalks and parks, highways clean. And those that make deliveries of things like food for our convenience. And double blessings on the men and women that are trying to help rescue, deliver, and recover the teenagers and the children who are victims of child molestation and pedophilia. And also people who are victims of pornography and child pornography. People who are victims of prostitution and child prostitution. Those that are victims of human trafficking and sex slavery, and double curses on the perpetrators that create these victims, with the perverts that are out here profiting as profiteers, also on human flesh. Finally, blessings upon the homeless. There are nearly 600,000 men, women, and children in the United States, and from all accounts, we're about to head into, or not already in, a recession, which is going to affect thousands and thousands of people and families. Blessings upon them and those around the world, in the millions who are suffering also, for theirs is the kingdom. Something today, I was looking at the interviews for the Knicks Media Day, and it was very good. They had Monica McNutt doing the interviews. They couldn't have picked a better person, in my view, to represent the Knicks in doing that for a number of reasons. She's articulate. She's very pretty, in my view, and she knows her basketball. So she was interviewing various players, but it was her interview with Derrick Rose that stuck out to me. And this is today's video, I'm hoping, will not only give you information about the Knicks, but help you personally. Because what Derrick Rose said, I can relate to this year particularly. What Derrick Rose said, like I had heard in a video previous, in a tweet actually, that he had mentioned that he was down to his rookie year playing weight of 195. Now, my first thought when I heard that is I remember Muhammad Ali before he fought George Foreman in 1974. And he was saying he was down to 218 pounds and that his reflexes were just as fast and so on and so forth. And I remember at the time I was a boy, I was young, and I was hoping, wow, maybe he can be, what he was at his prime, because those numbers sounded like prime Ali. But he wasn't prime Ali, even though he had those numbers. And even though he beat George Foreman, he took a beating in doing that. And then he declined very quickly after that until later on he had the Parkinson's, and we all know the story. But he started off saying, he's 218, his reflexes was fast. Even though you could hear the slur in his voice, it was almost like he was hoping that he would come back to the prime Ali. So when I heard Derrick Rose say he was down to 195, I didn't know, I said, okay, but he's still going to be 34 years old. Until he explained what he did. He explained, because Derrick Rose, I had read this many years ago, I think even when he was on the Bulls, that there were two players, him and Lamar Odom, that were big candy eaters. Like they loved candy, both of these guys, And I think, in fact, the first time D Rose came to the Knicks when Phil Jackson was here, he even mentioned that in one of his interviews that he really liked candy. But because he was a high-level athlete, burning a lot of calories, so on and so forth, it may not have affected him as a young man. But I could relate to that because even though I wasn't a candy addict per se, I was a sugar addict. In fact, I will say I'm still a sugar addict. It's like a recovering alcoholic never says they've recovered. They always say they're an alcoholic, right? In recovery, well, I'm a sugar addict. I can't just stop at one cookie or one piece of cake or anything sweet like that. And I struggled with that for many, many years. So when Derrick Rose said that he gave up the candy. And I can see why he feels rejuvenated, because that's how I felt the times I was able to get up processed sugar. Now, for me, it started off this past March. I've been, for the most part, I'm an average person. Derrick Rose is not an average human being in the sense that he is, if you're in the NBA, you're a tremendous athlete. Okay. If you're in the NBA, you're one of the 400 best basketball players on planet Earth, and you are a tremendous athlete. Now, Derrick Rose in that realm is of the upper echelon, always has been in terms of athleticism, right? Always has been on the upper echelon of what you would consider a world-class athlete. So he's different. I mean, I'm not like him, right? So for me, the sugar, affected me, and my mindset was, if I work out harder, more consistently, harder, and push myself, I would get in shape. But I always would hurt myself, especially now I'm 61. But I say this was my pattern over the last 15 years, maybe 20 years, that I would just think pushing myself harder as far as exercising would accomplish my goals of being in some sort of decent physical condition. Then it hit me that, I needed to back up off the sugar. This was about 2008. So what was that? It wasn't even 2000, it was 2004, about 18 years ago. And I started to use fruit, natural fruit, instead of sugar, instead of using processed sugar, because cookies, cakes, pies, especially, was my weakness. Candy, I would have or not, but those other things, man. And my wife would make homemade stuff, cookies, pies, cake, and I just blow up, man. And so, I started to use fruit, and it worked. It was weird to my wife and family. I was just eating fruit, and I lost a lot of weight. And because I was using the natural sugar in the fruit to counteract. Problem was, I still had cravings, for other things. And I was trying to be a vegan at the time. It was very difficult. So over time, I would do that. I would feel great, lose weight, and then gain the weight back. Boom, 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 boom. It was a cycle until this year. This year, I used all of my different experiences. I have many experiments with food. And I tried keto a couple of years ago. And I failed on it because I was so mentally nervous about giving up sugar, right? But I thought about it, and one of the things I picked up from the keto foray I did in 2019 was 2019? Yeah, about 2019, 2018, somewhere like that. Was that I like the bullet coffee, which I would take coffee, put butter in the hot coffee with heavy cream. And that they say that does not cause an insulin spike. I didn't realize what insulin spikes were doing to me. It didn't cause an insulin spike. So when I failed on the first foray of keto, I kept the bullet coffee. I just liked it. So then I started going back to working out. I would walk. There was a period of time, I think for 9 months, I walked 7 to 8 miles every day and didn't lose any weight because I was still using processed sugar. And now I felt like my system was messed up because I wasn't using a lot of processed sugar, but it was not even that. I couldn't eat bread or rice. Any carbohydrates was causing me to be puffy. And I could see it in my face. I could see it in my weight. I think I must have got up to 230, 235. When I'm in shape, I'm usually around 190, 185. So this past March, I went back into keto to escape the sugar, realizing that for me, I didn't even want to use the fruit at the time. So I just went into keto diet as a higher fat, high protein, not high protein, moderate protein, low carbs, high fat diet. So in that diet, I was staying away from all carbohydrates, pretty much eating chicken, fish, beef, turkey, lamb, using butter, using cream, things like that. Cheese, I started doing it, but then I stopped the cheese for me. Again, this is just my testimony based on what Derrick Rose said today. So I'm just sharing that with you. But, and I hope it's helping somebody. So I started losing weight and I started feeling good. I wasn't even really missing sugar. I did it for about, in fact, what I did is, and I'm still in the process now. When I started in March, another difference was I wasn't looking for 30-day or 60-day results. I decided to look at my results after the course of a year. So this coming March, I'm going to really weigh myself and stuff, but I haven't done it yet. But I decided to check myself at 6 months, which was September, this month, and see where I was. So as I was approaching September, and it was August. Right, in fact, it was August 15th. I was feeling good, but I felt like I needed the fruit. I felt like the fiber in the fruit and the natural fruit. And I remember what it did to me when I was able to stick with it. But I felt like now that I was including some solid meat with it, I might be able to use it and help me. My wife was nervous because she's like, you might blow up, because before I would, because I was eating other things with the fruit. That's what caused me to, get off the wagon. But I felt like now, if I stuck with the chicken, the, good processed chicken or lamb or beef, stuff like that, I think it would be all right. So it was a risk. Well, it was August 15th. So August to September, I've been doing that. I've been having fruit, have my coffee, my bullet coffee in the morning sometimes, and then follow that up about 11, 12 o'clock with fruit. I don't want to overeat on fruit, but I eat what I feel like it as far as the fruit. And then later on, my last meal of the day, some sort of protein, right? Chicken, fish, lamb, as I mentioned. So what happened? My wife and I were shopping, and I had got some shirts, some new shirts for work. On my way out, she went to go look at curtains, and on my way to the checkout line, I saw a pair of pants, and I didn't even look. I just figured they were mine. I grabbed them. I'm standing on line to pay, and I look down now. Generally, my pant size had been 40, my waist, 42, 44, something like that. When I was slim, it would be 38, right? Because my thighs were big. This one it was like a little loose in the thighs, but it was 36. My wife said, you're going to have to take that back. I said, well, let me see where I'm at. And I came home, and they fit perfect. See, that's how I knew. I don't know what I weighed, but I knew I had definitely lost way more weight than I was when I was 235, right? And so then we went to another store another time, and I was putting on shirts that would have normally fit tight, and they fit loose. And my wife said, you losing weight. See, I wanted the response. I don't want to say to her that I lose weight. I want her to naturally say, you losing weight. And my wife sees me all kind of ways, right? She sees my shirt off. She sees my clothes off. She knows what I look like. So when she said, wow, you really getting slim. She said, that fruit is helping you. Then I knew that was working. It's working, right? So when Derrick Rose said, I had to get off the candy, and then he lost the weight, what helped me, it confirmed to me what I was doing. Because I saw him and he looks good. I mean, when Monica was interviewing him, you could see it. You could see it in his face. You could see it in his body. He looks slimmer. And also, I'm interested to see how his performance, because even though he's going to be 34 years old in October, I mean, in terms of a man, he's a very young man still. See, I'm 61, right? So I'm 27 years older than Derrick Rose. But I want to see how this translates on the court with him. How it translates, because if he's anywhere, and he's young. So like I said, as a man, he's a young man. But as an athlete, as a world-class athlete, he's older, right? So I want to see how this works out. I'm kind of concerned that Thibodeau's going to overuse him and then, have him have a setback. But I want to see, because I'm thinking we're going to see, if you give him 20 minutes a game and don't push him to 30 minutes a game or 35 minutes a game, you give Derrick Rose that 15, 18, 20 minutes and let him split that time with Brunson. I'm thinking we're going to see some version of prime Derrick Rose. I know it sounds crazy, but I think we might. Okay. Now again, people like to dump on my man Deuce. I'm not worried about Deuce. Derrick Rose is expiring. And I'm telling you, because Quickly believes, and I can understand, Quickly believes he could be a starting guard in the NBA. And I think that there's teams out there that also believe that. And next year will be his 4th season. It'll be time for an extension. The money you get as a bench piece, even if you're like a 6-man of the year talent, which I believe Emmanuel Quickly is not the same money that you get as a starting piece. So for example, the Jalen Brunson $100 million, there's no bench player that's going to get $100 million. Okay, there's no bench player that's going to do that. Your best bench players, like for example, your Jordan Clarkson, he getting 13 a year, right? So that's like 4 years, 52 million. Well, because the money is increasing now, you might get 60. Guy might get 60 million, 65 million, but not 100, not 90, not in that strap, unless you're a starter. So I believe my semi-prediction, I guess, is that if the Knicks, unless Manuel Quickly decides himself, I'm going to be a 6-man for the rest of my career, which I don't think he's going to do, somebody's going to offer him starters money, and he's going to leave. And then you're going to have an expired Derrick Rose. I don't know what the Knicks are going to do next year at age 35 with him. But that'll open the door for Deuce to be the backup to Brunson and get significant minutes as the backup point guard. So that's why I'm not worried about Deuce this year. And it'll only be Deuce's 3rd year, which is the time you want him to play and show out. So this year, I expect Deuce is going to get more G League minutes, which is fine, unless somebody gets hurt, and we'll see. But I'm really looking to see what Derrick Rose looks like, now that he's given up the sugar and he's really, moved into a new level of health because of it. Sugar kills a lot of us, man, especially, people in general, but especially Black people. It kills us a lot because the cakes, the pies, the stuff. And then, like I said, even when I cut back on that, because my system was messed up, even stuff like pasta and bread and rice, I couldn't even eat because it would put weight on me, make me puff, So I'm interested to see how Derrick Rose performs with this because I'm excited. I hope, obviously I want the Knicks to win, so I want him to do well. But aside from that, I just want to see without the sugar how he responds, to his new diet. Anyway, I hope this helped somebody out there. If it did, blessings upon you. If it didn't, well, don't watch. Anyway, enjoy your Monday, enjoy your week. Shalom.